This is a continuation of our chapter by chapter and verse by verse study of the book of Genesis. We are ready for chapter 33. Jacob and his entourage, his two wives, the two handmaidens, and their four children, and the children of the wives, the children of Leah, and the one child of Jacob, and the cattle and the sheep and the goats and the manservants are traveling on their way to Canaan. He has wrestled with God, and God has promised Jacob to be with him all the way on his journey. Jacob has learned that Esau is in the vicinity with some 400 men, an army, and it is with some trepidation that Jacob has prepared to meet his brother, whom he supplanted, and that is the meaning of the name Jacob, supplanter. And he has prepared a gift which is almost like a sacrifice, and which is generous, and which is putting himself in a position of inferiority in comparison to his brother. And in this chapter, he does meet face to face with Esau. Chapter 33, verse 1. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and beheld, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children unto Leah, and unto Rachel, and unto the two handmaidens. 2. And he put the handmaidens and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph, the only child she had, hindermost. It's all playing favorites. They have been put in rank order of his value of them, Rachel and Jacob. Joseph being last, protected by the handmaidens and their children, and Leah and hers. 3. And he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times, until he came near to his brother. Now, 7 is the biblical numeric for completeness. As he approached Esau, he bowed down and touched his forehead to the ground 7 times in an act of complete submission and servitude to his brother. 4. And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. All is forgiven. They have met like brothers, not enemies. Now, recall that the Lord has told Jacob that he will be with him, and we know that the Lord can direct behavior, that the Lord can change minds, and can certainly decide how Esau will react to this meeting with the brother who took his birthright and who got the blessing, and who will be the patriarch, and through whose veins and offspring will come the Messiah. 5. And he lifted up his eyes and saw the women and children, and said, Who are these with thee? Esau speaking, Jacob speaking. And he said, The children which God hath graciously given thy servant. Again, assuming an air of servitude, and more importantly, giving God the credit for having graciously given him all these children, 11 sons and a daughter. 6. Then the handmaidens came near, they and their children, and they bowed themselves. And Leah and her children came near and bowed themselves. And after came Joseph near, and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. The entire family showing an attitude of servitude and inferiority to Esau. 8. And when he said, What meanest thou by all this drove which I met? And he said, These are to find grace in the sight of my Lord. All of this that you sent, these droves of cattle and gift, and Jacob said, to find grace, I have given you these gifts. 9. And Esau said, arrogantly, and I might add rudely, I have enough, my brother, keep that thou hast unto thyself. Rude in this part of the world, with the social customs of the time, to have refused this gift. 10. And Jacob said, Nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen thy face as though I had seen the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me. And that is what he had wanted, to see Esau's face, and he has seen it. And he has seen it with an expression of having been pleased with him. 11. Take, I pray thee, my blessing that is brought to thee, because God hath dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it. Esau finally took the gift, but only after having it pressed upon him. He did not graciously accept it at the beginning of the offer as he should have. 12. And he said, Let us take our journey, Esau speaking, and let us go, and I will go before thee. Esau is saying, I'll travel out here ahead of you, and I'll be your protector. Now, God has already promised to be Jacob's protector. He can hardly defer that to Esau. 13. Jacob speaking. And he said unto him, My Lord knoweth that the children are tender, and the flocks and herds are young, are with me. And if man should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. He is saying, I am traveling with a throng of children. They are tender. I am traveling with many young animals, and we will be slow, and you might lack the patience to wait for us if you go up ahead. 14. Let my Lord, I pray thee, pass over before his servant, and I will lead on softly, according as the cattle that goeth before me, and the children be able to endure until I come unto my Lord unto Seir. He is saying, Oh, please, now just let me go up ahead, and I will lead you in your company to my home in Seir, and I will go in a way that is suitable for the young animals and the tender children. 2 offers here. 1, to be a guide, and 2, to take him to his home in Seir. 15. And Esau said, Let me now leave with thee some of the folk that are with me. And he said, I'll leave some of my folk and these warriors here to help you along. And Jacob speaking, and he said, What needeth it? Let me find grace in the sight of my Lord. Just let me find grace and happiness with having met you. And no thank you. He has refused all of the 3 offers of Esau, that he would guide him in, that he would take him to his home in Seir, and that he would put some of these 400 trained, armed, likely soldiers to go along with Jacob. And Jacob has refused. Jacob does not need to depend on Esau. He has the Lord's promise that he will be with him all the way. 16. So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. 17. And Jacob journeyed to Succoth and built a house and made booths for his cattle. Therefore the name of the place he called Succoth. And that Sukkoth means booths, and that later became the Festival of Booths, the Festival of Tabernacles, one of the 3 holy days celebrated during the time of Jesus, of course, and one of the 3 big holy days of the year, the Feast of Tabernacles occurring in September, the Feast of Booths. Now, Sukkoth, this place of booths, was about 41 or so miles north of Jerusalem. It was in Canaan. It was not the exact place from whence he came, but it was in the land of Canaan. 18. And Jacob came to Shelem, a city in Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padan Aram, and pitched his tent before the city. And that was this very same place where Abraham first sojourned when he made this journey years before on his way to Canaan. 19. And he bought a parcel of a field where he had spread his tent at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. So he has bought a place and built a house here in Shechem, securing his rightful place in the land of Canaan. And to finish the chapter, verse 20, and he erected there an altar and called it El Elohi Israel, and that means God is the God of Israel. 34. Now this accounts a very foolish mistake by Dinah, the only daughter of Jacob, whose mother is Leah. Verse 1. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land, out alone, unwise and untoward. 2. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her and defiled her. This is a rape. This is an act of force, and it is a defilement. She is ruined. 3. And his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel. He wants her to wife, even after he has forced himself upon her. 4. And Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, Get me this damsel to wife. 5. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they were come. He waited for these boys who were old enough to work to come in out of the field. 6. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out unto Jacob to commune with him. 7. And the sons of Jacob came out of the field when they heard of it, and the men were grieved, and they were very wroth, because he had wrought folly in Israel in lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done. They are incensed and very angry that their sister has been defiled and besmirched in such a way, and they intend to take matters into their own hands rather than let God handle it. 8. And Hamor communed with them, saying, The soul of my son Jacob longeth for your daughter. I pray you, give her him to wife. 9. And make you marriage with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you. No, can't be done. Why? This would mix up the Christ line. If these are Canaanites, they are the offspring of Ham and his own mother, Noah's wife, the worst kind of incest. And Canaan, the product of that incestuous act, was sent to this land. Canaanites, mixed incestuous peoples, and there is no way that they can mix in here with God's people from whom will come the Messiah. Jacob cannot allow his sons to marry the daughters of Hamor. 10. And you shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade you therein, and get you possessions therein. Oh, just come in here and marry up with us, and you can have land and possessions. 11. And Shechem said unto her father and unto her brethren, to the girl's father, Jacob, and to her brothers, Let me find grace in your eyes, and what you shall say unto me I will give. 12. Ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I will give according as you shall say unto me, but give me the damsel for a wife. He is saying that he would give quite an expensive dowry if they will just agree to this marriage with Dinah. 13. And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father deceitfully, and said, Because he has defiled Dinah, their sister. 14. And they said unto them, We cannot do this thing to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us. These folks aren't circumcised, as they should be, to be a part of this family. 15. But in this will we consent unto you, if you will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised. 16. Then we will give our daughters unto you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. Not going to happen. 17. But if you will not hearken to us to be circumcised, then will we take our daughter, and we will be gone. 18. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. 19. And the young man deferred not to do the thing, because he had delight in Jacob's daughter, and he was more honorable than all the house of his father. 20. And Hamor and Shechem his son came into the gate of their city, and communed with the men of their city, saying, 21. These men are peaceable with us. Therefore let them dwell in the land, and trade therein, for the land, behold, it is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us for wives, and let us give them our daughters. 22. Only herein will the men consent unto us for to dwell with us, and to be one people, if every male among us be circumcised as they are circumcised. Now, as you know, circumcision in this family was done on the 8th day after birth, which is somewhat painless. It is still done shortly after birth in hospitals, and an adult circumcision is quite painful and much more complicated than the circumcision of an infant male. 22. Shall not their cattle and substance and every beast of theirs be ours? Oh, they're getting greedy. And let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us. Greed. 24. And unto Hamor and unto Shechem and his sons hearkened all that went out of the gate of the city, and every male was circumcised, all that went out of the gate of that city. 25. And it came to pass on the 3rd day, when they were sore, that 2 of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brethren, took each man his sword and came upon the city boldly and slew all the males. They were lying on their sleeping cots and bedrolls, quite unable to fight this off. 26. And they slew Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went out. That God is with you in this to protect that seed line. These peoples cannot mix up with descendants of Canaan and besmirch the bloodline, because God has to bring forth a Messiah, and it has to come through this line of people. 27. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain that spoiled the city, because they had defiled their sister. 26. And they took their sheep and their oxen and their asses, and that which was in the city, and that which was in the field. They took everything that belonged to these Hamor and Shechem. 29. And all their wealth and all their little ones and their wives took they captive, and spoiled even all that was in the house. They took everything. 30. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, Ye have troubled me to make me to think among the inhabitants of the land, to stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites, I being few in number, they all shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. 31, to complete the chapter. And they said, Should the deal with our sister be as with a harlot?